Hello everybody and welcome to Saturday morning coding. We are gonna continue with the SNATIC PHP site builder. I was working a little bit behind the scenes. I want to focus on today on uh, clean code and basically I think that the code needs to be heavily refactored in many ways. So yeah. Mm, Basically, what I want to do today during this episode is mm, refactor, leave the thing clean, and then keep on going with the roadmap. Um, the next thing in progress is this page collection archives. So the theming, the improvement of the theming capabilities is gonna be it's something that well, we are gonna it's always gonna be in progress at least until version 1.0. So now we are well, I want to focus on refactoring and then maybe implementing these page collections slash archives features. I did already some changes. So if you see, I don't know if you can see this properly, but yeah, now the site configuration has changed. Now home is a page, is inside of pages. Home has to exist, has no slug, and if it has a slug, is basically ignored. And then we can do the menu. I have this to do here for the collections and archives. The idea is that I want to make it, I want to use this as a blog. So as a kind of static blog site generator. So yeah, we are working towards this. So this is the menu. Uh, yeah, yeah, and now we have types for the pages as well, because I think that that's gonna be important for the theme. So basically, page renders with this. Okay, let's see if I can install a Jinja plugin. Support for Jinja 2 template languages. Okay. Let's restart this. Okay, I will do this later because I didn't realize that it needed activation. So yeah. Um, yeah. Anyway, yeah, I don't want to type my password in front of all of you or anything. So let's ignore that extension so far. So yeah, uh, yeah. I think that inside this. Well, what I was saying, that yeah, that based on the type we will render one template or the other. So yeah, now if this site generates all the, so if I delete this and I do I understand what's going on, because really it's not, something is really weird with the file settings. It's like I don't know why it's like the ID fucked up the whole destroyed the whole integration. So now we need to reconfigure the interpreter Python 3.8, apply. But now I wonder if we have the Python interpreter. Let's update this. Something has changed here and has messed the whole project, because it's not loading the virtual environment or anything. So when upgrading the PyCharm, it has destroyed the project. So we need to fix this first, fix the environment first. Now this sucks really. Okay, so Python interpreter, add. Okay, so existing environment apply. Okay. Yes, now it's detecting the packages. Okay. Now it's detecting the virtual environment. Okay. Something, well, something wasn't really fully okay. Fine. Okay, it seems that if I do Python SNATIC.py, it brings the commands. So yeah, that now it seems that we can go back to this. I'm trying to get back the, I don't know why this has also disappeared, the window. to I need Jinja to support, but I don't remember. This has got totally disconfigured. It's yeah, it's for some reason it has got totally broken my IDE now. That's I don't have the Jinja anymore. And I don't have anymore the project settings. Editor. Extension J2 name Ninja 2 template. No, what the fuck I'm doing? Templates, no. File types. Jinja 2 template. File name pattern J2. This I already did this. This is so annoying, but yeah, never mind. Now we have Jinja. I think that something got broken with the last update of the IDE. Anyway, we are now set to go. Sorry for this this setback, but it was okay. I don't know why. Anyway, okay. So now we are ready to go. Python. Okay, like I get proper color everywhere. So yeah, what I was explaining that now the pages have a type, so based on that the theme can see, okay, if it's type page, then I use the page template. And they also have this creation date, so you can tell when this page has been created, which is the idea is for the blocks. And you have the format, the date and time format in the site configuration, so you can adapt this to your own local preferences. And yeah, this is part of the refactoring that has been done in the shadows. And yeah, basically if you do build, hopefully nothing is broken. The site should be built. Yeah, so now you have the site, and the last thing that I added is this menu. So now in the menu you can have menu items that this element ID refers to this page. So you can have and you can have parent ID. So far there's only two level menus available. I need to look a little bit more into that if it's worth that there's 3 level menus, because I don't think that those are really used, and it takes some time to it takes some time to implement those properly, and well, maybe in the future, but I don't think that that should be a priority feature now. So 2-level menus, and if you do share, well, obviously the check still works. If you do the check, it still checks the requisites. You have PHP and Composer, which are the hard requisites for the install that you need to have installed in your system in order to be able to use these sites. And then if you do Python share, then it uses the PHP development server, and where did this go? Here. The templates have been also reworked. Oh yeah, I need to do the transition. Okay, so yeah, I was just showing the window instead of showing the whole screen. So yeah, they have been reworked to be using Bootstrap 5. I think that it's absolutely useless to go with Bootstrap 4 anymore. Even though Bootstrap 5 is alpha, but it won't change much, I believe. Bootstrap 5 is, I mean, the core will be the core, maybe some small tweaks. So that's it. That means that it has a responsive menu, and that, I mean, obviously this is a theme thing. So if you want to use something different on your own theme, you can do it as well, of course. Yeah, and you can see that and as usual the content goes so that this is defined in the markdown files and so on. So yeah, this is now so far what we have. I'm just using default Bootstrap, so it's expected to be really responsive, unless they don't comply with the promises they make. Yeah, and you get, for example, from the PHP development server the requests that you make here, and if something fails, you get, for example, the fab icon. The site doesn't have a fab icon, so 404, and you can use that for debugging. So so far so good. So now that that is out of the way, now I can proceed with the other features that oh yeah, you cannot, well, I need to show this in private window because otherwise you see the administration. So yeah, anyway, this we are gonna focus on the page collections and archives, but that means that you need to be able to indicate when a page is well, needs to be inside of a collection or not. So the first thing that we need to implement for this to work is actually page categories, or some sort of way to typify the categories to which a page belongs. So this is gonna be at the page level in the configuration of the site. So for example, page 1, it's not gonna be mandatory. So by default, if it doesn't have categories, then it doesn't. But the categories you can have, for example, category 1, category 2, and then comma separated categories, category slags, and then category 1 and category, this is gonna be only category 1, and then you need to have another configuration here, which is categories and then with this slug, so you have, I'm gonna call it cat1 and cat2 just for speed. So in here you have cat1 and then title, uh, you wouldn't need the category 1. So far the categories will only have title, so far. So you can see that this, you wouldn't need this either here. You only need it here because this, the column, for example, is a, in the YAML is a reserved character. So you need it, like, you need to specify that this is a string, but if you are not using any of these symbols that that the YAML uses, then you don't need to worry about putting it inside like string markers. So now we have the categories, and then we can add another page that is page 3, which has type archive, and if the type is archive, I'm gonna move the type up because the parameters can will, I mean, the expected configuration can change. Obviously, we will need to document, or I will need to document all this, but the page 3 is gonna be type archive. It's gonna be title, category 1 archives, yeah, this I need to put into this archive category 1, and then categories category 1. Yeah, and actually I'm gonna create another category. Well, we can categories cat1, and then we can do this page 4, and if we do categories star, then all the categories are included in the archive. And the third option that I want to implement is it so that page 5, if we do archive category 1, category 2, this means that you can do archives of all the categories of one single category, or more than one category in this building system. So this is part of this collection/archives system. So now we will have archive page. We have two types, page and archive. So I will put this to do here, for example, so I remember. And this means that the category, these are collections type, yeah, these are archives. So because this is intended to be a static block type of tool, I mean, it can be really used to create anything, but the type of the main idea is that it will be able to handle a static block. Then you define the categories. Then you define the pages. the home does not have any categories, but then you create all the pages and then you can specify the categories to all of them. And then in you can generate the pages for the archive based on the categories. So this is gonna be a list of posts or a list of pages that belong to this, that have this category. This is for all categories, or this is for more than one category. So there will be these options. And now in the menu, yeah, something that is also important to know from this menu, it's in the default theme, elements with children cannot be links because that's for accessibility, because you cannot use the hover interaction to create it in an accessible way. So you need to click here and then click here. So this link cannot go anywhere in the default theme. But I'm still leaving the door open for another type of themes or secondary themes or whatever to use a link, so it can still be a link. So now I'm gonna call so I'm gonna call yeah, this is something that I need to check, but yeah, how to if I want to have a menu item that doesn't want to go anywhere, that wants to have a hashtag type of linky thing. I don't know if I have contemplated that option, but anyway, item 5 title archives element ID. So if I just make this element ID, that means that the link goes anywhere. And then because I want to implement that as well, page 3 parent ID item 5. So now we so far only configuring, right? Title cat1 parent ID, element ID, page 3, seven is title cat2, all, then oops, title is gonna be all, and then parent ID item 5, yes, and element ID is page 4, and then title cat1 and cat2, and then the page is 5. So first thing, we need to configure the menu so this can be interpreted as I don't want it to go anywhere, and this link 1 should be as well this, because I don't want it to go anywhere. But now obviously if it breaks, I mean if it breaks, if it breaks, if I try to compile it now, it won't work, because in the menu builder we don't have that option configured. So here the URL, we need to extract it. So or page element ID. So if the element ID, okay, so we need to do it here in get URL for page. If page is lower, elif page ID equals this, then return how. Yeah, I guess I need to be consistent with this. This is also something that I always mess up, like the string stuff happens as well when I do JavaScript. So if page ID is this, then it returns this. So now the case is contemplated, and you can have for links like this in the menu that go nowhere, like this, hopefully. So let's rebuild. You can leave the development server running and still rebuild. So let's rebuild, and it says obviously there's some freaking error here. So there's an error. Line line 45. Oh, the star. No, the star. So the star apparently needs to be as well. And to be totally honest, maybe it would be better to just establish that all these strings need to be enclosed need to be really strings, and instead of making exceptions for everything. So let's enclose all of them in string quotes. That's also easier to when you make mass on memory to write this. Oops. To write these files. It's also better. It's better to write 2 characters more than to have to memorize all the possible exceptions. So we are gonna keep it with all the strings go into small. String quoted. Exceptions are usually bad. I prefer rule than exceptions. So let's try to minimize the amount of exceptions in when we get to, because we are basically designing conventions now, because we can do whatever the fuck we want in here. So essentially we can just design our own conventions. So my personal choice is rule is better than exception. So even though this wouldn't be necessary, I still want to I still want to be able to do it like this. So now we have a different error. So in get URL for page, okay. So what is the problem? That page 5 okay, error slug. So there's one that doesn't have a slug. Oh, neither of these pages have slug. That's an error. So yeah, these pages should have slug, all of them slug. For example, archive cat1, that would be the slug for this. Cat2, cat3. Obviously, then we need to, when we build in the builder, I'm gonna end up extracting many of these things to separate Python files, because now, for example, we have build page, but this only applies for pages, and now we have archives as well. So so the same way that I have the menu outside, I want to have the page. Yeah. Now we have self build page and self build archive. So I want to extract every type of content that we have to their own file. But that's something. So what does build archive still does nothing. So I started to code this, but I stopped at some point. So yeah, basically the archives do nothing. They still generate the root, but do nothing. Yeah. Yeah, we will see what we do with this. So hello, Dark Alchemy, and nice to have you here. I'm just making mistakes, but that's what coding is. So at the end, yeah, the code is on GitHub. So if you want to check the code, it's also you can also do that. Yeah. So now we have these slugs, and now the current site. Something that I need to be a little bit aware is to not to delete. I mean, this needs to change. That the first thing that I do is to delete the current site, but I shouldn't delete the current site unless the old site is finished, the new build is finished. But that's something that I need to check. That's something that I need to check somehow. So now we come to the site. Let's see. Now we have the new menu. Obviously these pages will mess because the build archive does nothing. So now these links, localhost. Yeah, there's a problem with this link. I don't know if you can see it. I'm gonna inspect element. The thing is, like, now yeah, I need to check where does this come from, but yeah, it's not a major problem. But this URL is kind of not good. So let's see when this URL is generated. So menu. So build menu, URL, get URL for page, config page element ID. That is. Oh yeah, it's because it's a relative URL in theory. So then menu URL for page in second level pages. Oops. This is not a big problem because in the template themes default base, when we generate the menu, if menu, then if item children, then we just do the href like this. But we shouldn't be doing this. We shouldn't be doing this exception, except that it's necessary for inside the theme. But if I do this item.url, it should be fine as well. If I just check. Yeah, this href is now fine as well. So yeah, that it's preferably to do it like this. So when a page doesn't have the href, or I mean, you just don't care. It's responsibility of the user, which is the way it should be, in my opinion. No, I have never done any coding on mobile. I mean, if you are meaning on a tablet or on a phone, no. I have obviously done remotely on laptop and yeah, in the train or on the move, but not in tablet or in laptop. I mean, not in tablet or in phone. I don't consider personally. I have seen now that some people are doing or are advocating of, for example, doing it in the iPad with this external keyboard and so on. But no, I don't think I would like that. But that said, I think it's a personal choice. So yeah, I mean, it is a personal choice after all. So I mean, I just like my good keyboard and my regular mouse and my space on my big screen and so on. So, but it's a personal preference. So yeah, I think that to its own. I also cannot fathom the idea of coding with the keyboard of a phone, for example. I mean, it would be so uncomfortable for me. But I don't know. Maybe the future is going in that direction. With we have in theory we have code writing environments like Visual Studio Code or Atom or something like that that are built on top of technological stacks that can potentially be executed anywhere that a browser could be executed, like Electron, or I don't even know if Visual Studio Code is Electron anymore, or we have things like Electron and is it Proton native that uses some sort of React subset to code this type of and of course React Native and so on and so on. So I'm not sure where the technology is gonna take us. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I just personally don't think that mobile mobile gadgets, I mean, by mobile I understanding phone or tablet, are the tools I would choose to do this. But who knows what the future will bring anyway. So now the menu seems to be just working. Here we are building the menu, that the menu is passed to the, all this will need to be documented. Why there's this pass here? All this will need to be documented, of course. So I'm a little bit lazy with documentation. It would be much easier if I would be writing the documentation at the same time that I'm writing the code, but this is the conventions that I'm using, and this is still in very early development stage. So basically, I'm not sure whether I mean, I think that I will write the documentation later on when the thing is a little bit more stable, especially feature-wise. Because, for example, now I have done changes in the configuration YAML file of the site. So so yeah, it's a little bit difficult to be writing documentation, and then every time that you change, you need to change the documentation, and you are never sure, and so on and so on. So anyway, let's continue with this feature of the collections. So my idea is that this build page is in page in the theme, you will have a new file, which is archive.jinja2. So it's going to be a new template. Add to source control, yes. And the idea is that this build archive will pass a standard. I don't know if calling it a standard object is the right thing. It's like it's my PHP legacy inside of me, but a standard object, that a dictionary that contains the information required to build the archive. So it will be a list of pages. So the archive configuration. So this gets this page. This archive configuration gets this. So there's already something missing here, because I need the whole collection of pages to be ordered to be able to do the archive. So archive configuration, and we need to pass here pages CFG and build archive CFG, and we can do self-config pages. So we have yeah, I mean, that's another thing that you don't have on mobile phone or mobile devices. You don't have the flexibility, of course, of having a full-fledged machine, especially when you get into binaries, libraries that use binaries. It might be that they have a builds for Mac, for Windows, for Linux, but then you go to a mobile or ARM based system, and then there is no build. And what do? You stop using that library, or you find a substitute, or you cry for them to make a build for your system. I mean, it's tricky. It's tricky. But now let's see, because there's also now the push. Apple is pushing for ARM on mobile. So let's see if how that affects the ecosystem, because it's a big change in paradigm, because now everybody needs to add another system to build to build two. So let's see. I'm quite curious about how many open source projects are going to approach this, how to build for the new Apple M1 processor. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that how the projects are going to be dealing with that, because it increases the workload quite a bit to add a new system to test. Building can be automated, but and testing also, but at the end is the maintenance. Every time that you add a new system to build on, the maintenance costs increase for a library. So and that's how it goes. But let's see. I'm quite curious, because the world of open source. I don't know. I know that Mark Khan is working on porting Linux to the new Mac OS systems with the M1 processor. I think he's gonna start the reverse engineering and the coding effort in January. There's a Kickstarter. I'm gonna plug this Kickstarter. I don't know if it's a Kickstarter or what. I mean, it's this kind of it's a Patreon. So yeah, you can, if you want to have if you want to have Linux on the new MacBooks, uh, uh, go and support this guy, because well, he's pretty much of a guru of putting Linux in places where it doesn't belong, or where it's not officially supported. So yeah, and apparently he has reached now the level of support to to have some times on to put some time on this Linux on the M1 processor thing. So yeah, support that guy. uh, yeah, but yeah, that's the problem. Let's see how people open source projects, people like project managers in the open source world react to the need of adding a new build target for all the libraries in the world. I'm not sure if Apple has. I mean, I don't know even what to believe, because it might be as well that Apple has done this in order to kick open source out of their systems. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. But yeah, now all open source need to have a new build target. So let's see how that affects the ecosystems. I'm thinking about Node. I'm thinking about, I mean, well, the NPM in general. I'm not sure JavaScript, if there will be a really made. Well, I guess that Apple has a JavaScript engine for the M1, obviously, because I guess that Safari will need to work in the new MacBooks and stuff. But let's see, let's see. There's gonna be interesting times indeed for the open source world with this new architecture. Well, it's not really a new architecture, but new processor. Yes. Well, I don't know about the official goals. I mean, I honestly have read some trash about the new M1 processor, and I have also read some like this is gonna change the game, so type of thing. So I'm not sure. I mean, I know that, for example, with RAM, it has ridiculous limitations. I think that the maximum is 16 gigs of RAM or something, and that's obviously that might be enough for many like many regular users. But if you think about using an M1 machine for heavy computing or video editing or real-time video manipulation or something like that, the 16 gigabytes at this specific moment in time is not enough, especially with 4K video processing and stuff like that. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure about how, because Apple has been always the machine for the graphical world. So I don't know. And I mean, I don't even know if those limitations are really the way they are. So I don't really have an opinion until I see what really is this M1 thing and how the open source world react to this. Because I mean, I'm not sure. I think that Cython, the Python implemented in C, will need to decide soon if they want to support this new system or not. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what is the stance on that. It's a heavy thing. I don't know. It might be at the end that on the operating system has a compatibility layer and you can still execute x64 binaries on it, or whatever is the ELF FreeBSD binary on top. I don't know. I mean, I lack information about these new systems, but it's the same reason that sometimes when you are developing for the mobile device, you don't have all the flexibility in terms of libraries and stuff, like, because it's a different build target. So I don't know, time will tell. Yeah, now okay, so now build archive, we get the archive configuration and the pages. So now for the archive, if we build an archive, we need to first well, we can basically copy the base template, but the content is what we need to change. So now in the archive, in the builder, we do archive configuration, pages configuration. So categories, I'm gonna call it cat. It's yeah, this is the thing. How are we gonna do this? We need to find all the pages of type page and then figure out the category. So okay, we can do this page IDs equals. We can do it with a list comprehension. Oops. We can do a dictionary here. So ID equals x dot x of yeah, how we do this. For K in pages CFG, so ID is the key, and then categories is, so it's a list of dictionaries. So categories is pages CFG of K of categories and we need to split this by a comma. So builder dot split, I never remember what. Wait. List comprehensions are great, but if you cannot understand what you are writing, then there is a problem. Then we have the key here, and then the categories. Am I just? I don't know why I was missing the. Yeah. Pages configuration of K dot a cat dot categories dot split by comma. If you have the H to still do it with a list comprehension, you can do it 4K in pages dot is. I don't know. I have mixed feelings towards this. I don't know. I think it only makes sense when it's more clear, and in this case I have my doubts. But yeah. So now we get the page IDs, and now we need to filter those. And we are doing that in a. We can always refactor this, so. I don't like this, but let's continue, because otherwise I don't do anything. I don't finish anything today. So now we need to filter, and if archive dot archive CFG of how do we configure this of categories equals this. No, it's different than this. Then we to do filter page, and this cannot be called page IPs. It's I'm gonna call it pages. Filter pages to check so the category is so only the chosen categories are selected. What is the problem with this? Indent expected? Oh yeah. So first I want to create the archive, and then we will filter by the category. So now my first impression is that all the categories will be all the categories will, all the category pages will contain all the categories, right? So I still don't like this, but to focus, take my focus out of that. So so now we create the list of stuff that we are gonna pass to the archive template. So the template, we are gonna take it like this. It's gonna be archive.j2, and now we can say here build the information to pass to the template, and we need to have URL, we need to have URL, we need to have title of the page, and categories just in case, categories, and modification or creation time. So this is only so it can be filtered, but we are still using this data structure here, so it can be filtered later. So so if for page in pages, well, to be honest, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think we need to do. We need to do it like this, because we can add it here, and this way we avoid having page ID. URL. And we are creating coupling. This really needs to be this really needs to be refactored. Menu dot is it how do I get the in the menu? How do I get URL for page? Yeah, this needs to be on a different class, not on the menu, but we will refactor that at some point. It doesn't make any sense to create a coupling here for the that between the menu and the builder. That should never be coupled. So, and by coupled I mean that the builder uses menu and menu, like, you know, it doesn't make any sense that this should be on an independent utility class or something like that. It doesn't belong to menu, because it's used from different sides. and maybe just as a static. I mean, it's still a static method, but anyway. So as we said, menu based. Yeah, there's a lot to refactor here, so a huge amount of things to refactor because this was hacked together, so it was built very fast. Wait, so menu now. Get menu, get URL for page. Build there. Menu. Oh, but that's the problem because get URL for page cannot be this is not private, but in Python the private concept doesn't really exist. But if something starts by 2 underscores, that means that it's kind of private. So yeah, do refactor references. It's now we need to take those away because we need to call it from here. So and then we need to do self.conf. I mean, this needs to be refactored a lot. This is a mess now. Config and page ID. This is a mess now. So let's not think so much about it. Let's focus on finishing this feature, and then so page ID, URL categories, creation date, yeah, and from here we definitely need to exclude the archive type, because then an archive will refer an archive will refer an archive. So if pages the CFG of k is different from archive of k of type, so page ID, URL, categories, creation date, and title needs to go here as well. So now the page, the title, okay. Okay, now we get the archive template output file name, then it's archive configuration. Get output file name, and then what is that? Okay, So the archives need a file as well. No. How can we do this? The output, so it's unique. And here, instead of get output file name, we can just use the archive cfg slug. Yeah, the slug needs to be unique. And if we do this, get output file name, site HTML name, and then slug dot page title archive cfg title, and template render. Okay, so now we open output file name write as f, then we just use f output for keeping the consistency, f output, and then we do f output dot write template dot render, and here we pass the parameters, do we? And then pages is pages, and title is title. That's a dictionary, yeah, of course. Oops. Title is page title, and title pages. So now we can do here for paging pages, and we have access to all this information in the template. And then pages is pages, yeah, and the title is the page title. So in the archive we can still do this because we received the title. So let's see if this works. Key error categories. Okay, so we have a page that doesn't have categories, which is the home. Obviously, the home doesn't have categories, so we need to, for the archive, if k is not k dot lower lower home. Yeah, the home, we need to skip it here. Okay, so now we can go to the site and say HTML and say, okay, we have created the archive, the pages, but obviously they are still empty. But now if I come up to our site and reload, these archives are empty but should still work. Yeah. Also, yeah, these pages need to, the archive need to receive the menu the same way that the regular pages do. They need to receive the menu, because otherwise there's not gonna be menu like the other pages receive. And then so the base, okay, name, they need to receive the name as well, which is this. And now if we rebuild the site, okay, so now we come to the archives. We still have the menu, archive cat1, the slug is correct. Archives all, archive cat2, archives cat3. Okay. So now we need to do in the template. We need to write in the template block content. I mean, there's more nuance to this as well, but that's for the future, I guess. So the content should be the base J2 contains already the H1 of the page. So we start in H2. Yeah, something that I added as well that I didn't mention is that if you see the source code of the page, it says, oops, it doesn't say anything. It was supposed to say, I think I might have left this feature at the end. Yeah, the build date. Well, we can take this out so far just for consistency. So you could see by looking at the source code when the page had been built. But yeah, so now in the build there, it's complaining about too many blank lines. I knew this P8, P8. So so in this page, we use in the archive we use the so the base it's already in a column, so we can do menu so it's already in a column, so the archive can be div class row, div class call, maybe archives wrapper, archives container, and then we do if so we if pages then we need to start an ordered list, and then for each for page in pages. I think that's how you do it in India. And for how do you do it? I have done it. Yeah, for page in pages. Then you do list item, then href and ahref. So ahref page title, page title, and then first we do this, and then we do h2, outside of this title, and I think I'm gonna change this inside the page from title to page title to avoid confusion with the outside title, and then page title. Yeah, that yeah, for URL, and then we can do the modification date, builder. So now in the creation date, so yeah, creation date. Let's put the creation date here. Creation date, page title. Okay, I think that should be enough. The content, instead of coming from a markdown, comes from the. So let's build now the site, and let's see what happens in the archive pages. I'm not sure. So archive all categories. Okay. That's obviously, it's not obviously not printing anything. all. And it seems that it's working, because this is, both are category 1, right? I mean, we are not filtering though still, so so now we filter so now we have archive categories equals my idea was to do it with a filter function, but I'm not sure if I will be able to do it. But we can filter anyway, so archive categories equals archive cfg of categories dot split is dot lower category dot lower for category in archive cfg dot split. So now we have the archive categories transformed to lower, and we need to do the same here actually. Category dot lower for category in pages blah 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 dot split, and then filtered pages equals to this, and if and we transform this into a set, archive categories page categories or a set for page in pages page categories equals set page categories if length archive categories intersection page categories is bigger than 0, then the page goes in filter page.append page. So we can have several categories to filter and in the page, and at the end pages equals to filter pages, and now we can continue with our lives. Oops. And then, yeah, now we should be filtering the pages for the archive. So let's see how we are doing with that. So now in category 1, let's see. So category 1 both are in category 1. So let's go to category 2. Okay, there's a problem here. First of all, if there's no, in the archive, if there's no pages, then we should show some sort of error message. So I need to rebuild. Okay, so all categories, category 1 and category 2. Margin top 3, margin top 5, and this row has margin top. Actually, it's better. And 5. Yeah, maybe margin x5, so margin y5, so it's top and bottom and not left and right. So left and right looks a little bit odd. I wonder why, if I need to check build debug. So I'm gonna debug here and see. Yes, so which archive category 1, so no, continue, category 1, category 2. So now, what is the step over F8? So archive categories is set. Okay, easy bug to spot. I wasn't splitting by anything. Here am I splitting by, yeah. Okay, so let's come to rebuild again. So now in this category 1 and category 2, both of them should appear. So now there is another test that we can do. Page 6, only in category 2. Page 6, and then item 9. Cat 2. Page 6. And now category 1. Wait, because I'm an idiot. So this archive category 2. Yeah, and obviously it overgrowth because of same slack. So so now we have category 1 all, category 2, category 2 and category 2 only. Okay, and we have the last thing that needs to be done is create a new page and assign the category 3 page p3.md SNATIC page 3 categories category 3. What page 3 is the one activate 2 activate 3 activate 4 activate 1 is cat 1, so activate 1 and then I need activate 2 activate 3 activate 4 and archive 4 should be cat 3 slack page 3 slack this will be 4th category 3, and then we come to data content copy paste p3.md add this is page 3 category 3 and this is category 3 in the menu. Okay, so now if we come here, we have page 3 category 3 and this comes here category 1 all category 1 and 2 category 3. Okay, so mission accomplished. We have categories. We have archives and categories. We are very close to have a system that allows to create a static blog. So now gonna just this is always a good moment when you do this. More options, complete card. So now we have archives as well. Now we have pages, more pages, menus, archives. This is one step closer to be able to manage a static blog. And obviously, well, these are displayed in the order that are in the menu, basically. So, I mean, the order that are in the configuration. Yeah. So yeah. So for us, there's no difference at this point. There's no difference between page and blog post, and I think that it's better that it's not gonna be, considering that it's a static site. There's no need to make that distinction. Yeah, and so far that this is it for SNATIC today. I might need to. I mean, this really needs a massive amount of refactoring. So I will be probably doing that on the dark, because that's not so interesting to see. But I need to figure out the best way to do this. So yeah, it's been a slightly longer than usual episode, but I'm quite happy that we have managed to do this. And well, one thing I'm still gonna add the program map. Yeah, I'm gonna add yeah, I mean, yeah, and now this is feature finish the page, the archives feature one step closer to be able to fully manage a blog. Okay, so thank you very much, and that's about it for today. This episode will be as always in my YouTube channel, and soon you will be able to see it. It will be added to the Saturday morning coding playlist. Okay, thank you for passing by. Bye.